All right, let's talk about one of the most powerful and, honestly, one of the most fascinating animals on the entire planet. An animal that can be a ferocious predator one minute and a devoted parent the next. A creature that has mastered just about every environment you can throw it at, from frozen Arctic ice to dense, lush forests. Yep, today we are diving deep into the world of the bear.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to meet the whole bear family, which is scattered all across the globe. Then, we'll unpack the incredible toolkit they have that lets them thrive. We'll follow a year in their life, look at the challenges of raising cubs, and finally, we'll explore our own complex relationship with these amazing wild neighbors. Okay, let's get right into it. Section 1. Meet the bear family. We're about to go on a quick world tour that really shows off just how incredibly adaptable these animals are. And when I say they're global, I really mean it. Their family, the Ursidae, has pretty much conquered an incredible range of habitats. You've got the iconic polar bear, totally at home on the Arctic sea ice. You have brown bears just roaming the massive forests and mountains of North America and Eurasia. And then, way over in the bamboo forests of China, the giant panda has carved out its very own, very specific niche. Each one of them is just a perfect example of the bear's amazing ability to adapt and survive. So, how do they do it? How do they thrive in all these different places? Well, that brings us right to Section 2, their toolkit for survival. What really makes a bear a bear? It's basically a collection of biological superpowers fine-tuned over millions of years. First things first, let's talk about sheer power. The size range alone is just mind-boggling. You've got the sun bear, which might weigh only 60 pounds, all the way up to a massive male polar bear that can tip the scales at 1,600 pounds. But no matter the size, they all share that signature, stocky, incredibly powerful build. That's where the strength comes from. But here's what might just be their greatest superpower of all: their nose. All that strength is guided by a sense of smell that is just legendary. It's estimated to be about 7 times more powerful than a bloodhound's. I mean, think about that. This is how they navigate their world. It's how they find food, sense danger, and even find a mate from miles and miles away.
And please, don't let that massive size fool you. Bears are unbelievably fast. A brown bear can hit speeds of up to 35 miles per hour in a short burst. That's faster than the fastest human on Earth. It's this incredible combination of raw power and surprising agility that makes them so formidable. So let's just recap this amazing survival toolkit. You start with that powerful build, and you wrap it in thick, insulating fur. You add on some razor-sharp claws, sometimes up to 4 inches long, and teeth that can handle pretty much anything, meat or plants. And then you top it all off with some serious problem-solving intelligence. You've basically engineered one of the planet's most successful survivors.
So they've got the tools. How do they actually use them? Well, in Section 3, we're going to look at a year in the life of a bear. We'll cover everything from their diet and their unique behaviors to the incredible process of hibernation.
For a lot of bears, winter means one thing: hibernation. And this is so much more than just a long nap. It's like a state of suspended animation. It allows them to survive for months without eating or even drinking. And get this for toughness: some females will actually give birth and start nursing their tiny little cubs right there in the den, all while she's hibernating. It's just incredible. And when they're not sleeping, they are eating. But what they eat couldn't be more different depending on the bear. On one extreme, you have the polar bear, a pure carnivore that needs high-fat seals to survive the brutal cold. And then, on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you've got the giant panda, a total specialist who spends up to 16 hours a day eating almost nothing but bamboo. Most other bears, though, are opportunists. They'll eat anything: fish, berries, insects, meat, you name it. So how do they all get along? Well, for the most part, they don't. Bears are usually solitary animals. Each one patrols a huge territory, leaving behind scent marks as a kind of silent message board for their unseen neighbors. The big exception, of course, is during mating season, when they'll actually seek each other out. And that, of course, brings us to Section 4, raising the next generation. You really can't tell the story of bears without understanding the incredible bond between a mother and her cubs and the fierce dedication it takes to make sure they survive. A bear's life starts in that dark hibernation den. They're born blind, totally helpless, and weighing only about a pound. For the next 2 years or so, those cubs are completely dependent on their mom. She teaches them absolutely everything: what to eat, where to find it, how to hunt, and most importantly, how to stay out of trouble.
After they finally strike out on their own, they'll become adults around age 5 and can live for 20, sometimes even 40 years in the wild.
And that whole learning period is just full of danger. Mother bears are famously protective, and they have to be. The cubs are vulnerable to other predators, and sometimes even to adult male bears. So that fierce maternal instinct isn't just a personality trait. It is absolutely the key to the survival of the entire species.
And all of that brings us to our final section, our wild neighbors. What is the bear's role on this shared planet of ours? And, what does the future really hold for them in a world that's more and more dominated by humans? You see, bears are so much more than just big predators. They're what we call ecosystem engineers. As apex predators, they help keep prey populations in check, which is crucial. When coastal brown bears catch salmon, they drag the fish deep into the forest. The leftovers decay and release marine nitrogen into the soil, literally changing the forest's chemistry and fueling new growth. And while they're eating berries and plants, they're spreading seeds everywhere, helping the whole landscape regenerate.
But their future is, well, it's not guaranteed. The picture is pretty mixed. Species like brown bears and black bears are doing okay overall, but many others are in real trouble. Polar bears, giant pandas, and sun bears are all listed as vulnerable. Now, there is some hope. The panda is actually recovering thanks to massive conservation efforts, but the threats out there are still very, very real.
The threats they face come from a few different angles. The single biggest one is just habitat loss. As humans develop more land, the huge wildernesses that bears need to survive get broken up. Climate change is a direct threat, especially for polar bears who rely on shrinking sea ice to hunt. And as our worlds get closer and closer, conflict between humans and wildlife becomes a much bigger problem.
Bears are the ultimate survivors. They have adapted and thrived on this planet for millions of years, through ice ages and massive environmental changes. But the challenges they face today are different. They're new. And that leaves us with one final and really important question. They survived all of that, but can they survive us?
Hit subscribe, like, share, and turn on the notification.